Hey everyone. I'm sure you've heard about this whole Google breakup thing, and I bet you're wondering, like, how's that even gonna affect me?
Right. It's wild. We haven't seen antitrust action like this in, I don't even know how long.
Uh,
And the Justice Department's going straight for Google's core, search and especially Chrome.
it's true. I mean, think about it. We just Google everything,
Yeah,
right?
it's like second nature.
Yeah, totally. And that's precisely what the Justice Department's saying. They're basically saying Google's just too big. They have like over 90% of the market. That's a monopoly. And they're pointing to that ruling from back in August where the judge found Google guilty of squashing the competition. Like, it's not just about their size, it's about how they got there.
Wow, over 90%. That's a crazy number. So how do they even start to, I don't know, break up a company that's so intertwined with like everything we do online?
Well, the Justice Department's main play here is they want Google to sell off Chrome. Their thinking is if you separate Chrome from the rest of Google, then you're opening up space for other search engines to compete. Yeah, that makes sense. But here's the thing. Chrome's free, right? We use it because it's tied to like Gmail and Maps and all that. Could it even survive as like a separate paid thing? Would we have to start paying for something that's always been free?
That's a really good question. And it's not even just about the money. Chrome works so well because it's connected to all those Google services you mentioned, a Chrome on its own. I don't know if it could offer the same experience.
And let's not forget, Google's not going to take this lying down. I read that Sundar Pichai, the Alphabet CEO, he's been reaching out to big names like Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
Seriously. Wow, that's interesting. It sounds like Google's getting ready for a huge political battle, which just opens up a whole other can of worms. Lobbying, big tech influence on policy. This isn't just a legal fight anymore. It's getting political.
It's like a total showdown brewing. And this reminds me of the Microsoft case back in the 90s. Didn't that take like forever to resolve?
Oh, you're absolutely right. These antitrust cases, they can drag on for a decade or even longer. The Microsoft one's a perfect example. Rulings, appeals, settlements, it went on and on. And you know what? They were initially ordered to break up. But in the end, they actually overturned that.
So even if the Justice Department really pushes for this, there's no guarantee Google actually gets broken up. And even if they do, the real impact might not be felt for years.
That's right. And that raises another huge point. Okay, let's say Google splits up. Are there even any real alternatives out there ready to take their place? I mean, we've seen Bing and others try, right? But nobody's really come close. People are just so used to Googling.
Yeah, it's true. Google has basically become the word for search at this point. It's like Kleenex or Xerox. The brand is the thing.
Exactly. So breaking up a company like Google, it's not just about like dividing it into pieces. You've got legal hurdles, potential chaos in the market, no clear alternatives waiting in the wings, and of course the impact on us, the users.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
Like a huge puzzle with all these interconnected pieces, it makes you wonder, is breaking up Google really the answer? Are there other ways to deal with their power and influence?
That's the million-dollar question for sure.
Mhm.
And it's bigger than just Google. This is about the whole landscape of technology and how it affects our lives.
Yeah. It really feels like we're at this like fork in the road. One way we get this messy, unpredictable digital world, and the other way, well, it's kind of business as usual with the big tech companies calling the shots.
It's a tough one for sure. And it makes you really stop and think about technology's role in our lives, right? Is everything okay as it is? Or are we running into problems with just a few companies having all this say?
And that's a good point. It's not just about busting up monopolies for fun, right? There's got to be a bigger goal here.
Absolutely. The goal has to be that technology helps people, not the other way around. Think about it. Right now, these companies like Google, they have so much control over how we get info, how we talk to each other, even how we shop. They're shaping our whole digital world.
So how does breaking up Google like actually do that? Make tech work for us better? I mean, what's the thinking there?
Well, the idea is that if things are more balanced, more companies competing, less power in just a few hands, that could lead to a more creative, more user-friendly internet. Imagine companies actually having to try harder to get you to use their stuff. Better services, more control over your data, maybe even cheaper prices.
Yeah, that sounds good, but there's no guarantee it would go that way, right? What's to stop us from just ending up with a new set of tech giants in charge?
That's a valid point. It's not like a magic wand solution. We got to be careful not to just swap one kind of dominance for another. It's about building a system that really encourages competition, protects people's privacy, and makes sure tech is a force for good.
And we can't forget, there's always a chance the government and Google could just make a deal like what happened with Microsoft way back when.
Oh, for sure. That's definitely possible. Maybe Google gives up a little changes, some things they do, and avoids the whole breakup thing. But even the threat of a breakup, that might be enough to push them in the right direction.
So much to think about. This whole thing really makes you wonder about the future of the internet. As this story plays out, what are some key things our listeners should keep in mind?
I think the big thing is that this potential Google breakup is huge. It could change everything. It's not just about Google itself. It's about the whole internet and the power dynamics, between the tech companies and all of us. Even if they don't break up, the fact that it's even on the table shows how people are thinking differently about big tech now.
It's like we're at the beginning of a whole new era for tech, and the rules are being rewritten right in front of us.
I think you're right. And while they're rewriting the rules, it's super important for all of us, the users, to stay informed and to speak up. We need to get what these changes mean and make sure our voices are heard. Our digital lives are on the line here. This leads to a pretty interesting question for you, listener.
Okay, lay it on us. What should our listeners be thinking about?
Let's say, just for fun, that Google does get broken up. What kind of online world would you want to see come out of that? Would you be cool with a bunch of different services competing, even if it means things are more complicated and maybe cost more? Or would you rather things stay simple, even if it means fewer choices and relying on a few big companies?
Yeah, it really makes you think, what kind of internet do we want for us now and for, people in the future?
Definitely. And this whole deep dive, I think it's shown us that this issue, it's not simple at all. It's not just about breaking stuff up. We need solutions that really work for everyone and that create a better online experience.
One thing that stuck out to me from the stuff we read is that even if Google gets broken up, it might not be like problem solved, right? It's not like suddenly the internet's perfect.
You got it. Breaking them up wouldn't magically fix everything. You'd still need to create a market where other companies could compete, and not just compete, but actually do well.
Mm.
That's not easy.
And even then, how do we know that these new companies, the ones that would replace Google, how do we know they'd be any better? How do we stop them from just becoming the next big tech giant, repeating the whole thing all over again?
That's the key right there. It's bigger than just breaking up one company. It's about making a whole system that works differently. A system that rewards innovation, that protects our privacy, that makes tech a force for good in the world.
That's a big goal, but it sounds worth it. A digital world where power is more spread out, where new ideas can flourish, where technology helps people instead of controlling them.
I think that's something we can all get behind. And while there's no easy path to get there, the first step is, being aware, getting involved, and being willing to question how things are.
Absolutely. So to everyone listening, I encourage you to take that first step, check out other search engines, try different browsers. There's a whole internet out there beyond just Google.
Yeah, you might even find that you like some of these alternatives better. And by using them, you're supporting a more diverse, more competitive internet. You're helping to create something different.
Who knows? Maybe all this will spark an idea for you. A new tool, a new service, something that helps build that better online world we've been talking about.
The possibilities are out there. The future's still being written. So stay curious, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.
And until next time, happy searching, everyone.